Go to the video itself.
So Patrick, check. I'm not on the, I'm not over the PA yet. I see that, I see, I've got the light, but I'm hearing nothing. One, two, one, two, one, one, one. Check, check. Check, check. Check, check. Check. So we don't have the mute button. We've got.
The gain was way down.
Oh, there we go. Yeah. All right. Check, check. Good. Yeah. Thank you. I'm switching off here. This is board week. This is board week.
I'm sorry.
This is board week.
Oh, Trying to turn mine off. Thank you. I don't think you want this on the whole time.
Do you know Kerry Patrick Clark? He's a folk singer. He will do music. We could get him once in October, once in November, and he could do our all music service too.
Okay.
And I'm thinking we'll pay $500 for all music service since it's a pro
Okay.
album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say just keep an eye on the budget as we go.
I've got recordings from my brother on guitar.
Okay. I don't want to have to turn this on and off myself. Test, test. Okay, it's off now. Good. Thank you. Looks like this one's lost its tip.
What you mean when you said it's off? You couldn't hear yourself in the speakers?
You don't want to have it on the whole time.
You're on. You're hot.
Right now you should be able to hear me.
You're hot. Well, I've got you turned down, so.
Oh.
It's kind of easier for you to control the volume than for her to.
Yeah.
do the.
I don't want to be turning it off by accident. Right. Yeah. Oh, that's good to see Jewel. Is she feeling better?
She's been having a lot of pain.
Oh. I'm so sorry.
And I
They're doing it differently. They're having programming on Sunday one.
Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you. Whomever you love, we welcome you.
Good morning. Good morning. All right. So, announcements. I have a lot of announcements, so hang in there with me here. All right, music directors. Most of you know we're between music directors. Until we find a new church musician to join our staff, we'll be having recorded music some Sundays and great guest musicians when we can arrange it. Today, what you'll hear mostly we can call summer's greatest hits. Selections from services we had over the summer, though the postlude goes back a bit further to December 8th, 2013, when this congregation ordained Reverend Tim. That gives us a chance to hear the organ and our choir, and we hope to have organ and choral music in this room again soon. If you know church musicians who might be possibilities for the Toledo Unitarians music director, please make them aware that we're searching. Listening. If you'd like to use an assisted listening device to help with hearing our public address system during services, we're now broadcasting on FM 90.7, and we have a couple of small radios with headphones available. This is a radio signal that barely reaches through the building. So it's not listen from home alternative. Our Toledo Unitarians YouTube channel continues as the source for that. Coffee hour. After today's service, we invite you to stay beyond coffee hour, actually beyond, for our in-gathering church-wide field day, an afternoon of play and relaxation for all ages. There will be cornhole, water games, and other activities, but you're also welcome to just find some shade and sit and watch. We expect an ice cream truck to be here too. Multi-faith. Our church has multi-faith meditation sessions held in conjunction with Flowing Waters Sangha. There are twice-a-month sessions on Sundays at 5:30 p.m. I think it's second and fourth Sundays, including this evening by Zoom only, and sittings every Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. by Zoom and in person at the Carl Sagan Room here at the church. If you need the Zoom number, please contact the church office. Film Club. This coming Saturday, the UU Film Club will meet at the home of Ginny Washing to watch the 2017 movie Our Souls at Night, and then discuss over a light lunch. You're requested to bring a dish to pass. If you'll be attending, please let Judy Murray know by email. Stewardship, very important. Stewardship coming up this fall. The Stewardship Committee is in need of more volunteers to assist with having one-on-one conversations with pledging members and friends. We will train you. In the spirit of many hands make light work, more callers means fewer people for each volunteer to contact, and we want to be able to reach as many people as we can. If you would like to help, please come to a training in the Chapek Room after church next Sunday, September 18th from 12:30 to 1:30. Thank you very much for our co-chairs, Colette Cordova and Julie Pascalis. Please let them know if you're interested. All right, this one is an interesting one. New information. 4 weeks from now, we're providing our grounds and facilities and teaming with Greater New Psalmist Church next door to host Leonard Peltier's Walk to Justice, a group making a prayerful walk from Minneapolis to Washington, D.C. to plead for the release of Leonard Peltier, a Native American elder who has been incarcerated in federal prison system for 46 years. Their walk is covering more than 1,100 miles, and Toledo is near the halfway point. From about October 9th through the 12th, of special note that includes Indigenous Peoples Day on October 10th, the walkers will stop here for a few days of rest. Besides providing room for them to camp in our backyard, we can help by providing some meals, giving some home hospitality, including the opportunity for them to take showers, and helping them get to a laundromat. You might know that Leonard Peltier was convicted in 1977 at a controversial trial to 2 life terms to be served consecutively for aiding and abetting murder related to the deaths of 2 FBI agents in a 1975 shooting at Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. There have been allegations of false statements by the government and by witnesses from the time of Peltier's extradition from Canada and continuing through the trial. Witnesses have recanted their testimony. Peltier, who will be 78 years old tomorrow and who has health challenges, has been eligible for parole for almost 30 years. Prominent US and world leaders have called for clemency. The Walkers hope that his release will happen during President Biden's term in office. Thank you for your consideration to assist with that. And rummage sale. We thank the many volunteers, workers, and donors who helped with the hoarder downsizing sale, our fall rummage sale, which happened yesterday. I understand that the tentative numbers were that we made between $1,700 and $1,800. So an important late summer, early fall fundraising event for the church. Thank you very much for any assistance you provide. And special thanks go to Sue Childers for organizing and leading, and also to our intrepid Julia McGee and Mike Davison for being the negotiators in chief and handling the money and negotiations. All right, and now I have opening words. This House by Kenneth L. Patton. This house is for the ingathering of nature and human nature. It is a house of friendships, a haven in trouble, an open room for the encouragement of our struggle. It is a house of freedom, guarding the dignity and worth of every person. It offers a platform for the free voice, for declaring, both in times of security and of danger, the full and undivided conflict of opinion. It is a house of truth-seeking, where scientists can encourage devotion to their quest, where mystics can abide in community of searchers. It is a house of art, adorning its celebrations with melodies and handiworks. It is a house of prophecy, outrunning times past and times present in visions of growth and progress. This house is a cradle for our dreams, the workshop of our common endeavor.
Just to let you know, I'm now officially fully vaccinated against COVID-19 once again. So I'm going to start, when I'm on the platform, not using the mask as much. We give a land acknowledgement several times during the year, and our ingathering is an appropriate time for that. We give thanks for the earth we are on at First Unitarian Church of Toledo, and to the people who were here before us. We recognize and honor the Miami, Peoria, and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, which includes the Mohawk, the Wyandot, and the Council of Three Fires, Ojibwe, Potawatomi, and Ottawa, as well as the Delaware, Mingo, and Shawnee people for our presence on what was known to some as the Great Black Swamp. The Kickapoo and Fox people also have ties to the area. Though said to be almost uninhabitable, too wet to support good community or farming, many Native American people lived here in the Great Black Swamp, including by forceful relocation here by the young United States after the Battle of Fallen Timbers, fought here in 1794. Then were exiled to the west when this land opened to U.S. development and Toledo became home to white settlers. We are grateful that now Greater Toledo is a compassionate region where people of multiple backgrounds and origins live largely in harmony today. And with our Sunday service beginning, we have on our minds, in our hearts, with our spirits, the knowledge that today is the 21st anniversary of the September 11th terrorist attacks that caused death and other damage in New York City, Washington, D.C., and rural Pennsylvania. Also having effects on the world today are the death this week of Great Britain's Queen Elizabeth II and the succession to the throne of King Charles III and the ongoing war of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Also with today, our ingathering and the start of our church year, thoughts, love, and good wishes go to the congregation as we return, especially the committees, groups, teams that took the summer off, if not the full time since March 2020 when we entered pandemic mode. May they pick up the work of our church and keep us in good condition. For this hour, events of the world, the nation, the community, and among our people and ourselves have spiritual attention. And now, as Sandra lights our chalice, I have these words by Sean Trapp. Our chalice reminds us that the fire within ourselves is the same fire that illuminates the universe. It is our reminder that all is connected, even though the space of the void is vast, and our experience here is but a blip in the cosmic timeline. This flame is our promise that in our smallness and our short time on this earth, that we live intently and deeply with love for one another, with honesty and integrity, to be guided by rational thought and critical thinking, and with a sense of shared responsibility. For as the late astronomer Carl Sagan reminded us, this pale blue dot is the only home we've ever known. Please join me in reciting the covenant of our congregation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now please join me in our opening hymn, number 318, We Would Be One. And it's recorded this week, so let's sing along.
Everything we are originated in the stars. We are made of star stuff. You are made of star stuff. All of the rocky and metallic material we stand on, the iron in our blood, the calcium in our teeth, the carbon in our genes were produced billions of years ago in the interior of a red giant star. You kids who are here today, you have hearts as pure and soft as gold, minds as dazzling as diamonds, souls as light and clear as helium. You are made of dreams and dust and water. The same elements that made Joan of Arc and Leonardo da Vinci and Sitting Bull are in you. Today, we have a special ritual for those who would like to participate, adults and children. Please come forward as you are willing and able, and Reverend Tim or I will swirl a glittery galaxy onto your forehead or on the back of your hand. If you would like a galaxy swirl but would prefer to remain in your seat, raise your hand and Sandra will bring the galaxy to you. This is to honor the star stuff within you and to remind you that you contain the universe. Please come forward now. Yeah. Ooh. There you go. Reverend Tim, would you like one as well? I think that would. Here, you take this, and I'll get. Here, let me just take them. Okay, and I'll get the other one.
You got more?
Yes. Marsha, where to? There you go.
Thank you.
You okay?
Here we go.
And I'll do my hand.
Excellent.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Blue hair, I better put it on my forehead. Well, it goes well with blue. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I've made a mess already.
That's okay. I was gonna do my forehead, but I chickened out.
Understandable. Here you go. You're welcome. Hi. You want it on your hand?
Beautiful.
Nice. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Here we go.
Good morning.
Anywhere it fits.
Anywhere it fits. Perfect. There you go.
Great, thank you.
You're very welcome. Hand time. Trying not to turn these into G's.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Hi, Susan. Whoa, you got a lot there. There you go. You're welcome. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Jenny.
Where'd you? There you go.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Of course. Do you want to do my head? There you go. That's kind of a G, but pretend it's not.
Good.
Head. Perfect.
That's it.
Yeah. Thank you.
And now our kids are dismissed to religious education, and their helpers as well. And let's listen to centering music.
There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my soul. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my soul. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my heart. And it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my heart. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing in my mind, and it's telling me that I'm somebody. There's a river flowing in my mind. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing. There's a river flowing in my soul.
Please join me for a time of meditation, contemplation, and prayer. Our words of meditation today are by Reverend Burton Carley, who served as a Unitarian Universalist minister in Memphis. The river in the title of this, Reflections from the River, is the Mississippi. Here are his words. Since the economy is in a kind of black hole, I was interested to read that researchers using NASA's Spitzer Space Telescope have traced the building blocks of the universe back one more step, and it leads to the massive black holes in space. We know that the Earth did not spring out of thin air, but is essentially recycled matter and higher elements. The story of Genesis gets it right in the sense that we truly come from dust, space dust. But where did that dust come from? Many galaxies have a black hole at their center, and the researchers for the first time were able to see how a supermassive black hole in a galaxy 8 billion light years from ours was shooting out winds carrying dust composed of complex elements. The theory is that black holes suck in simple gases at high velocity where they collide and are superheated, fusing together to form complex molecules and grains of dust. Thrust back into space, the dust eventually collects and forms stars and planets with the chemical compounds from which life can form. From chaos come the building blocks for creation. It is something good to remember when spiritual storms are brewing inside our lives and also outside in the economic environment. And how do we endure chaotic times? It seems counterintuitive, but it is through praise that we bear our transformations. The poet Rainer Maria Rilke understood this so well in the following poem translated by Albert Ernest Fleming. O tell us, poet, what is it you do? I praise. But in the midst of deadly turmoil, what helps you endure and how do you survive? I praise. And that which nameless is anonymous, how do you, poet, still call out to them? I praise. Who grants you your right to pose in any guise, wear any mask, and still remain sincere? I praise. And that the stillness and the violence, like the star and storm, know and acknowledge you, because I praise. We survive our deepest struggles because the human spirit rose from the dust with the possibility of joy and praise. It is why we come to church. Let's observe 1 minute of silence.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Truth hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Okay. I have our reading from The Disappearing Spoon and Other True Tales of Madness, Love, and the History of the World, from The Periodic Table of the Elements by Sam Keene. We eat and breathe the periodic table. People bet and lose huge sums on it. Philosophers use it to probe the meaning of science. It poisons people. It spawns wars. Between hydrogen at the top left and the man-made impossibilities lurking along the bottom, you can find bubbles, bombs, money, alchemy, petty politics, history, poison, crime, and love, even some science.
It's ingathering, the beginning of our church year, and I'm glad to see you here. There's a way you can continue the ingathering through the year by building our congregation. Invite your friends and neighbors to come to church with you. A statistic I saw from a Christian church growth resource set out the percentages of how people start attending church. 6% are by an organized visitation. 6% are invited by the pastor. And only 2% are from advertising. The category "a friend invited me" is 86%. It's through you, not me, or our media that our church will grow. I hope that my and other preachers' words here on Sunday, our religious education and music programs as we rebuild them, and our Toledo Unitarians media will all be factors in having people return. But your bringing people through our doors and onto our YouTube channel is how that starts. With ingathering, many Unitarian Universalist congregations have an annual water ceremony. We do that too, but not every year. What we've been doing and continue today is using not only water, but trying to acknowledge all the building blocks of life, the elements. We started with what are called the classic elements: fire, water, air, and earth, from 2017 through 2020. Then last year, we looked at the mystical fifth element, quintessence. Today, we're moving from classical times and mysticism into science today, and looking at the elements people have discovered so far by talking about the periodic table of the elements. Next year will probably be something about the word itself, element, and how that helps us in our religious practice and human life. Then I suppose 7 years long is long enough for an elemental cycle. We might have another water ceremony in 2024, and then I might reimagine our ingathering service. My fascination with the periodic table is that I know very little about it. I never took a chemistry course in school, so I didn't use it as a resource in my education. I did read a chemistry book in preparation for today, titled "It's Elemental: The Hidden Chemistry in Everything" by Kate Bieberdorf. So I can say a few things that I hope a chemist won't dispute. Let's start with what an element is. First, we go back to ancient Greece around the year 400 BCE. Two philosophers, Democritus and Leucippus, had the hypothesis that there were tiny and indivisible pieces of matter that make up everything, and they called them atomos. Today, we know those pieces as atoms. The discovery confirmed in 1803. And in 1897, it was discovered that atoms aren't indivisible, but have protons, neutrons, and electrons. And now science is looking at even smaller pieces that make up those subatomic particles, such as quarks, muons, neutrinos, and positrons. All of that is smaller than the periodic table, so I'll leave that to your own exploration. Back to ancient Greece and to more recognizable names, Plato and Aristotle. They had a different non-atomic theory that earth, air, fire, and water were the four elements that make up everything. That fondness of mystery still holds today, such as with the beginning of this multi-year in-gathering series on matter, and in pagan spiritual practice, and in many other ways. But that's become romance, not fact. Aristotle and Plato and their contributions to philosophy, if not science, will always be with us, I think. The idea for an element is that it's the smallest piece of matter that can't be divided. The meaning changes a little bit, though, because of the periodic table of the elements laying claim to the term and spelling out that this seems to be the level at which whatever smaller dividing is done reaches those currently 118 items numbered sequentially from 1 hydrogen to 118 oganesson, into which everything in the universe can be separated. And people can see from the protons, neutrons, and electrons how those elements differ. You might note that the elements numbering through 94 were discovered in nature. 95 through 100 were said to have existed in nature, but no longer exist, or at least not currently. And every number beyond 100 was synthesized in a lab. Scientists, in essence, smash the nuclei of atoms together and see if they make new elements based on a discovery process. The periodic table of the elements was developed to show in a logical way how the elements are made up and differ. It's based on atomic mass. And the particular table commonly used, but it's not the only periodic table, was developed by Dmitry Mendeleev in the late 1800s. A user can see the organization reading across the table and down the rows. For those who know how to use the table, it shows much more than that basic organizing. They can see how elements interact, for example. But as I said, that's not me. I'm at basic level at best. If you want to get deeper into chemistry, I recommend that you consult with our commissioned lay minister, David Strickler, who is a real live chemist. It's been said that with the discovery of elements through 118, which is now called oganesson, in 2016, the periodic table was finally complete. All the gaps were filled in. But wait, there might be a new row or period added. There are temporary names, I suppose, meaning undiscovered. And is it Latin for the number? For some predicted elements. Number 119, ununanium, abbreviated UUE, not just UU, So we don't get a Unitarian Universalist element. And I thank my colleague, Reverend David Pyle, for that inspiration. There's number 120, unbenilium, and several more. Knowing the structure of naming, I guess you have to get the International Union of Pure and Applied Chemistry, the elements keeper, as it were, to see the potential element as credible, and they'll approve it for the undiscovered list. So, how do we take the periodic table and make it something on which to base a religious service? Well, our Unitarian Universalism recognizes that science and discovery are essential to human knowledge and to explaining the nature of the cosmos. And we look for rationality rather than assigning any divine steps to fill in gaps we haven't yet filled in. At the same time, we acknowledge human history and see value in the symbolism of water, as in many ingathering ceremonies, fire, demonstrated by the weekly presence of our flaming chalice, air, which, as I pointed out in a previous ingathering service, can be tied to Unitarian scientist and minister Joseph Priestley's contribution to the discovery of oxygen, but using a wrong scientific theory, he called oxygen dephlogisticated air. And earth, so important to our grounding in more ways than just dirt on a planet. Earth, air, fire, and water are longtime parts of human ceremony, since before the time of Plato and Aristotle, and continuing today when we know it's really symbolism about our existence and not science of how we have life. They all have spirit attached sometimes in different ways too, from fire carrying spirits into the sky, water being a place where you might cast spirits, ground or earth where you plant a spirit, and air being the medium through which spirits move. That might be ghost-like, but we'll get to ghost in spirit for our October 30th service. And I'll speculate that there is an element, a small undivided piece of human existence that is sacred, holy, that makes us religious. We don't all look to the divine or even to any recognized religious practice, but our religious element is what makes us question how we come to be part of the universe. And we use science to make the mystery known as we discover and know more about what constitutes the cosmos. Our origins are essential aspects of religious questioning in life, and we could never do without the combination of earth, air, fire, and water. But we also need to know more than those ancient elements. Therefore, we need to have science as part of our religious composition. And that gets us to the periodic table of the elements being almost a kind of scripture to say how we are, if not who we are. Part of religions is being curious. Much of science is coming to know what's behind or what makes up particular curiosities. Our spirits, as little as we know about the human spirit, are tied to the spirits of the elements, aren't they? It's good that we try to know them. I'm thankful for a periodic table to show the progress of inquiry, of discovery, of knowledge, of organization, so we can have a foundation from which to move forward. So be it.
All right. I have for the offering today, if you would like to give to First Unitarian Church of Toledo, we have our basket in the entryway, or you can go to our website, uutoledo.org, click on Give, and then Online Giving. Or you can mail a check to 3205 Glendale in Toledo, Ohio, 43614. Doesn't quite have that same zing to it. It's the old 43614. All right. Thank you.
Yes, I did choose Tom Sheehan playing a song titled Rising Green for the offertory. Coming soon, next week, our 9:45 a.m. spiritual forum will be an intergenerational hour of finger painting. So wear your smock. And then our 11 a.m. Sunday service is the Transcendentalists, beginning a series that we will have on transcendentalism throughout the church year.
Right. So coming really soon, right after today's service, we have coffee hour, social time in Fellowship Hall. And we will also be having our church-wide field day in person out in the backyard. So come watch the kids run around, or be a kid and run around yourself. All right, closing words from Periodic Tales, A Cultural History of the Elements from Arsenic to Zinc by Hugh Alderney Williams. I wanted to know how far the periodic table could go. Should I make allowance with rows of empty spaces to accommodate future elements? If so, how many? 1 or 2? A dozen? Hundreds? Not long before he died in 1999, Glenn Seaborg, who first found plutonium and the string of radioactive elements that followed it, gave a lecture in which he showed a table running up to an unnamed element number 168. Half as far again as science has managed to push the inventory in 300 years. Was this just fancy, an old man's hopeless dream? Seaborg seemed to disown the prospect even as he spoke. We'll do well to just go on up another half dozen elements or so, he said. But then why show the image? Perhaps it was his way of reminding the audience that scientific discovery has a habit of changing the rules as it goes along.
And as Sandra extinguishes the flame, we send the flame from our chalice into the community. And we know that fire is not a scientific element from the periodic table, but is one of the 4 classic elements of Aristotle's time, along with earth, air, and water. Our sending the flame is as symbolic as fire being an element, making story, helping us understand the cosmos, as it is through science and story that we live full lives. Wait, that's the wrong music.